Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? Moving to the frozen sheet here, Sean. Last week, some big news with the NHL firing veteran referee Tim Peel in a game between the Red Wings and Predators. He was kind of caught in a hot mic moment. 15:04 left in the first. Victor Arvidsson, forward for the Predators, called for a tripping against tripping Red Wings defenseman John Merrill. Even though Merrill embellished the fall, Peel had made the call from around center ice with 12:42 remaining in the period. The Nashville broadcast captured audio of Peel saying, "It wasn't much, but I wanted to get an effing penalty called against Nashville early." Once that got caught, it kind of got blown up around the social media and around the internet, and was kind of the talk of sports media there for a brief period of time. The NHL acted quickly, announcing that he will not officiate any more games. He was set to retire at the end of this year, so just giving him an early start. People reacted to this and questioned whether or not the NHL acted too heavy-handed with the decision to let him go. And I think there's multiple reasons why they made the decision to let him go. First off, he was retiring at the end of the year. So at this point, what's it worth to suspend him? You're halfway through the season. You suspend him. What are you going to do? Bring a guy who was caught on a hot mic?
First of all, dropping an F-bomb, but second of all, admitting that he was trying to call a penalty on another. If you've
sat anywhere in the first 10 rows of a hockey game, the F-bomb isn't the issue, because the audio theoretically should not have been on. But when you're caught, right, influencing
did that
the game,
audio go out on national
went out on
television?
The broadcast. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yes, and that's how it got caught.
Not on a delay.
No, that's how it got caught. So what are you going to do? Bring a guy back who's clearly calling with bias. Something that right, wrong, or indifferent people have questioned, especially with the NHL for years. Now you have a guy, clearly caught red-handed, admitting that was the intention. So why are you going to bring that guy back for the playoffs? He's going to retire anyway. I think the NHL acted right here because, obviously, every sports fan in the world, agrees that if their team loses, it's because the referees were bullshit. Everybody knows that. But when you have this situation, and if you don't act swiftly, if you don't make a statement by moving on from him, then any time there's a questionable call, anytime something doesn't go the way that it should, clearly, then you're going to have credibility called into question, which, again, the NHL already has some issues with, be it with their on-ice officiating, their Department of Player Safety. There's already questions there. Now you're really caught red-handed. I think the NHL did exactly what they had to do. They had to fire Tim Peel. They had to send a message. It's not very often I agree wholeheartedly with what the NHL does from a disciplinary standpoint. This is one time I think they got it big time right.
Oh yeah, I mean their hands were tied. Even if he would have been somebody just genuinely loved in the organization and generally loved by hockey people and all around. I mean, and it's just a matter of stupidity. I mean, in today's world, to begin with, the fact with cell phones and social media and everything else, you got to watch what you say to begin with. But when you're in a game where you're mic'd up for any reason and you have no control over when that goes on a feed, you got to watch your mouth. Just dropping the curse word. I understand that that's just a way, and how the league doesn't have a a delay. I mean, in a lot of cases, there's a delay to kind of
Yeah,
filter that out. I'm
yeah.
not sure
I
what
thought there
happened
had been one because of the no fans situation. Things were picked up that aren't normally picked up.
Yeah, well, there will be now. But the to say something that glaringly suspicious and just lack of thought. That's all it really is. And I understand it's probably a conversation he's had on the ice in years past, very similar. I understand. You're telling a coach like, look, I'm going to keep my eyes open. Whatever you're going to say, but you can't specifically name a team and be like, I was trying to get one on Nashville. Like,
right.
You can think it, and you can be looking for it, and like hockey fans all over the world are like, that's a makeup call. You know it.
Sure.
I know
we've seen makeup calls, whether it's hockey, baseball, strike zones change as the games go on.
Be like, oh, well, they made that one up. But like, and I get it. It's part of the official trying in an interest of fairness. Maybe you thought you made a close call and you're like, man, that could really affect the game. And like, I'd like to kind of balance this out. And I understand where that makeup call idea comes from.
Sure.
But to admit you're looking for one.
Right. It's the difference if a coach calls an official over and is talking to them about, hey, this guy's clutching, this guy's grabbing, this guy's hooking on every play. I mean, I've been on like a semi-pro football sideline, and you'll hear coaches talking, to the side judge, hey, look for this, and the referee's, okay, I got it. They're that's not them saying, hey, I'm specifically looking for this. That's, a coach is talking to him. All right, we'll keep an eye out, coach, whatever. But when you're specifically, I'm trying to get Nashville a call here. I'm trying to do this, trying to do that. That immediately calls into question the credibility of that official, of that league, of that game at that time. And yeah, like you just can't have it. And, for the NHL, you act swiftly. You do what has to be done there. Two more things, Sean, out of the NHL. Alex Ovechkin continuing to climb the goals, the all-time goals list. Had a slow start to this year. Missed the first few games. Was on the COVID list. And apparently he heard people were talking about him and saying that he was having a slow start because he's come on hot as of late. Has not scored yet tonight, though. I have the game on here. But he is up to 724 goals in his career. He is just now 7 behind Marcel Dion for 5th all-time, and then another 10 to Brett Hull at 741 in 4th place all-time. Both obviously Dion well in range for this year. Brett Hull possibly in play this year if Alex can stay hot. Currently going into play tonight, like I said, has not scored yet. 170 goals behind Wayne Gretzky. 35 years old. He'll turn 36 in September. Obviously, the 2 COVID shortened seasons has not helped his bid.
It has made it a far
greater.
Made it a much steeper slope, I guess. We'll call it that. We'll make it it's a steeper cliff to climb.
So if you're, if you figure if he has, 5 years left, you're looking anywhere between 35-40 goals a season for over that period of time on average. Now you're assuming that at ages 36, maybe 37, that you're looking in closer in line of the higher 40s, pushing the 50 mark. And you would like to think too that if you're within 5 or so, that even if you're a little bit past your expiration date, you might come back and try and get on the at the top of the list. But I really think that the number that's more realistic for Alex Ovechkin at this point is 2nd place all time. Gordie Howe's sitting at 801. So, that's what, 77 goals, for Alex Ovechkin to get to 2nd place all time and to currently tie Gordie Howe. That's more than reasonable. I mean, even if Alex,
how many does he need to tie Gordie?
If my math is correct, 77, because he's at 724. Hal's at 801. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? Yeah, so that's 77 to tie, 78 to take that over. You know, theoretically,
because Hal's sitting in what number is he?
801. He's in second place.
Second place, and Gretzky's
at 894.
That's a huge gap.
It is a huge gap.
That's 2 to 3 seasons.
Yeah, that is a, well, I mean, when you have a couple of seasons of
well, they're not. It's not 2 to 3 Gretzky seasons.
No, because he had seasons of 90 plus goals. Like, but I think that's
the most amazing. Gordie Howe did that in like 40 years.
Right. Gretzky did that in considerably less.
Gordie Howe played a very different brand of hockey and spent a lot of time in the penalty box. You know, Gordie was busy enforcing the ice. So Gordie was controlling the way the game was going to be played that day. And then, like, in the midst of it would be like, let me also score a goal.
So I think second place is your more realistic target. Obviously I'm still pulling for my guy to break the goal record.
Also, this just in as a sports feed, just so everybody's aware, Gonzaga does cruise to remain undefeated.
Oh, they housed USC, right?
85-66 final score.
Wow.
Over USC, who shellacked Oregon yesterday. Yeah, Gonzaga looks literally a step above right now in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, they look.
If they can hold form, I don't see anybody else that I've watched play beating them. But that's just me. So back to the NHL. I just wanted to inform our listeners that will not necessarily hear this live, but some are.
Some are, yes.
Zags look good.
But you know what I mean? Like, I just the COVID shortened season suck, because last year he missed 9-10 games at the end of the year. He was on a fairly hot streak going into this year. Your season's cut down by 20 plus games. That's a lot of scoring opportunity for Alex Ovechkin. And then of course he missed time to start the year with the COVID absence. He wasn't actually sick, but he was on the list. So for me, I think second place is the realistic target, but I'll never count out Alex Ovechkin. If I've learned one thing over watching him for the last decade plus, I'm not going to count the guy out, but I think second place, beating Gordie Howe, finishing somewhere between 801 and 894 is your likely landing spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think second place is very realistic finish. I don't think it's unrealistic to think maybe he hangs on longer than he should, but becomes like a second or third line just situational goal scorer to try to get there. I think he's going to play as long. He's a hockey player.
Right.
He's not a guy that's going to walk. He's not the guy that says, you know what, I'm going to go out on top. Obviously, he would have done that already. He's he was young when they won the cup, but there are people that have done crazier things.
Jágr's still playing.
Jágr's still playing. And truth be told, as good as he's playing in Europe, he could probably. I mean, you can't tell me that the Sabres have every player on their rosters better than Jaromir Jágr right now.
He could be a top line forward for the Buffalo Sabres right now.
Yes, I was gonna say, be like a winger for the Sabres starting, and he probably sell tickets if they were. Maybe like people
probably.
I go see Jágr.
Nobody else is selling. Well,
of course, let's be honest. Dominic Hasek at his current age would probably be a better goaltender.
Probably.
So I did a highlight reel of Dominic Hasek the other day. His top 10 goals saves, one of the most unbelievable. If you haven't, just go on YouTube, search Dominic Hasek, 10 best saves.
Guy was unreal, man.
It's like 4 minutes of just solid gold. Like you're just like I still, knowing he's going to make the save, I still watch the shot going. That's going in. And he stands on his head literally, and you're like, all right, well done there. But yeah, I shortened seasons or not, it was going to be a hard climb to get to Gretzky anyway. But I'll tell you one thing, you hold the pace he's on now, and you get through even this season wherein he holds this pace longer. It depends, like right now, what the next couple of weeks looks like. Because if he can hold a goal a game for even another couple of weeks, may have the opportunity to turn this year into basically a number of goals that he may have scored in a full length season.
Right.
So all of a sudden you start closing the door a lot faster. And then I'm going to start buying that he stays in the league long enough. But if he catches Gordie, 77 is very realistic. I don't think there's any reason to think he doesn't catch Gordie Howe. But I don't, whether that other near 100 goals, it would just kind of depend when he catches Gordie. Is it mid-season? Is it like the end of season? Does he have an opportunity to maybe turn that 800 into like 820 before that particular season ends? But if he, even in the next handful of years, 3 years from now, if he's sitting at like 810, 820, 830, I think he plays into his 40s and tries to get him. I think he tries.
Yeah, I think he wants
big,
it.
He's strong. He's not injury prone,
no.
At least not to this point in his career. He's not a guy that's getting beaten around, and he's not a scrawny little guy. So I think he's a guy that you can throw on a second, a third line, maybe just on a power play line. You just keep him around as like a low-end guy and kind of a specialty player, and kind of a team coach, especially if you're a team that reaches out for Russian talent places and they want to play with Alex Ovechkin. I don't see any reason why he can't play till he's 45 and still catch Gretzky. But it's going to take, I think, well into his 40s to get it.
Yeah, it certainly will. And like I said, with the shortened seasons, it's – it has definitely put a damper on the possibility, but like I'll never count out the grade 8. Finally, one last thing here, and somewhat shorter topic in the NHL before we take the break. This year with the COVID season, of course, we had the North Division, all the Canadian teams playing each other, really kind of expanding on some of these Canadian rivalries. Your Maple Leafs, Canadians, your Maple Leafs and Senators, Flames, Oilers, stuff like that. And there's been a lot of talk, especially in the Canadian sports media, that fans, players, media, they want, whether or not you can actually make it work, to realign the NHL and have the full Canadian division from here on out, because I think that'd be really hard, because when you're talking, Montreal to Vancouver and Calgary and Edmonton, that's quite the travel situation, unless you kind of do some of these group scheduling road trips that you've seen this year, and like you see more in like the American Hockey League, and the East Coast Hockey League and stuff like that. I don't know that a full realignment is necessarily possible, but I think this has kind of been a great thing for hockey in our neighbors to the north here. So I would not be shocked, Sean, if the NHL finds a way, and I think they should, because if you catch one of these games, if you have ESPN Plus, there's usually one or two, maybe sometimes 3 NHL games on there every day. So sometimes you'll get these Canadian ones, or your Saturday night on the NHL Network. These Canadian matchups have been a lot of fun to watch this year, and they get pretty damn heated between these Canadian teams. So I think the NHL should really look into a way to try and make more North versus North matchups happen in the future.
Oh yeah, I think the North has been very interesting, and I think as you're pushing forward, to get as far as this year's playoffs go. I know there was talk about, the North and obviously the COVID situation and like, obviously it's going to be bubbling and it's going to be the whole thing. I don't see a major issue there, but people want fans and people want, things like that. If the North, I think the NHL could look to realign and kind of create these divisions. It comes down to, obviously going to be a bargaining agreement. The players are going to have to agree to it, everything like that.
Sure.
I don't think there's a lot of American clubs that like look forward to traveling to Calgary. You know what I mean? Like,
especially not
like
in February.
Not like they're like, well, we're looking to put Calgary in like its own Canadian division. So like, are you okay not playing
Tampa
Calgary
in February, Calgary, Alberta in February?
I'll
take Tampa.
Yeah, I did see like a funny meme. It was like top 3 cities, to land the next NHL franchise, and it was like Quebec City, Buffalo, Calgary were the 3. And I thought that was hilarious to just bash those 3 squads. But anyway, there's no franchise in Buffalo.
No,
no, that's horrendous. Thank you though for that win. Gritty's happy.
Thing sucks.
It does suck. It's not great. And there's another feed where someone's like, most losses in a row, and then somebody else in one of the Facebook groups have been chimed in like, actually, that would be my Winnipeg Jets. And then somebody else was like, you're wrong. You guys just went winless for 30 games. You had some ties in there.
Wrong, sir.
And I'm like, wow.
Wrong.
First of all, to like brag and claim like,
no, my
my
team
city
sucks
has
the worst
losses. My city's the worst hockey team.
Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous is what it is. But yeah, I don't see whether it's like a realignment or anything like that. I mean, I'd be excited to see it. The downside is as a hockey fan, whether I'm here in Tampa, whether I'm at home in Philly, I still like the opportunity to see us play against Canadian teams. Like I liked being aligned with teams like the Maple Leafs and the Canadians. I liked getting broadcasts, from the Flyers playing in Montreal. And you get like kind of the pomp and like the more like, here's Canada before, the American national anthem and everybody. I don't know. It's just exciting. And I like the idea of traveling to Canada and we understand it's more of a Canadian game than an American game. And I
sure.
I like the idea that it kind of transcends the border. So I would rather not see a true realignment where it's like, we're going to play up here and you guys fight it out. And then we'll play the American champion then.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a realistic I just don't think that's a realistic scenario.
But kind of more out of and teams play, kind of everybody anyway. But to make sure the Canadian teams play Canadian teams, I think would be very exciting.
Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?